So today I want to talk about the left. Not the left as in Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Bill Clinton. None of that. I want to talk about what many consider themselves progressives. Um, as you know, I'm an independent. There are things on the right that I agree with, and there's things on the left that I agree with. So I do listen to a lot of commentators, a lot of mainstream and independent media on both sides. But mainly, I want to talk about Francesca and Cenk. I used to listen to a lot of TYT, especially during the Obama years when I was kind of getting politically active. Now, mind you, I was 16. I was kind of in my sophomore, junior year when Barack Obama was running against Hillary Clinton and John McCain. So, thanks to my high school teacher, civics and economic teacher, Coach Dellinger, I really took a liking to, civics, economics, the Constitution, and really, kind of went headfirst into politics as like a hobby. But like I said, I used to watch TYT. You know, Jank and Anna were really big at the time, and they were kind of like on this whole bash Obama kick, and I agreed with a lot of what they were saying. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders came out in 2016. There's a lot of domestic economic policies that Bernie Sanders brought out and introduced um, to the mainstream, and that I did agree with. I'm not a democratic socialist. I do understand a lot of what they're saying. I'm more of a compassionate capitalist, meaning you have to reward merit, you have to reward uh, those who are trying to advance themselves, but at the same time, it cannot be at the detriment of the American society, the American people, and that's kind of like why I kind of disagree with a lot of the oligarchs, the corporatism that has taken place, money in politics, stuff like that. But one of the big problems that I have with the left, of course, is just the ultimate Trump bashing. I mean, let's call a spade when it comes to Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama. Let's criticize when it's warranted. Let's agree when it's warranted. But Jink is kind of coming back around to being, a little bit less, severely critical of Donald Trump and the right. But Francesca, of course, she's been a commentator on TYT for many years. Um, she's more into to me she's more into the cultural part of what of modern day progressivism, which I kind of disagree with. I'm more of a social libertarian. I live in the South. I was culturally raised as a southerner, as an American, um definitely as a Christian. So my philosophy is I might not necessarily agree with your lifestyle, what you choose to do. As long as you're not harming somebody else, I feel like it is your constitutional right to do that. But I'm not going to, oppress you. I'm not going to block you unless it's just irrational, kind of the stuff that you're saying or wanting to do. But at the same time, I'm not going to be the biggest advocate in your corner either. As far as if the government decides to put up restrictions, like let's say, you're homosexual, I have no problem with that. you know, hey, do your thing. It's your constitutional right. But now, if you're like, hey, we want to have drag queens reading to kids, well, now you're affecting other people's kids, and they might not agree with that, whether they're Christian, whether they're Muslim, whether they're atheist, agnostic, just Southern, whatever. You're kind of now interfering on other people's, liberties. So that's kind of where I come with this, social libertarian aspect of things. Um, but there's definitely a lot of infighting kind of going on right now because Jink is definitely, he's been on the Patrick Bet David podcast. He's been on with Charlie Kirk. He's definitely talked to a lot of other right wingers, which, I think is great because, maybe you can present them with, you know, certain left economic policies that they may need to agree with. Maybe you can challenge them. Maybe they can challenge you. It's I think it's very healthy for challenge, for debate, especially in the marketplace of ideas. But as I said, I kind of have cut back on watching them. I kind of go more into different arenas now. So I don't always have the time to keep up with them. But I do know that there is definitely a backlash to Cenk, and Francesca is kind of at the center of that right now as far as this week goes. And I do disagree with her a lot just because she's more, like I said, she's less
You're
economic
really
populist
good
and
at being welcoming.
more into the whole culture war. And so, as you know, the left, they eat their own. So let's witness it.
I really want to talk about what you are doing and what you believe you are doing. And I want to just explain, you know, by showing. And I want to ask you what you think the goal is of what you are doing. But here was a moment where you were on TPUSA's on Turning Point USA's conference, and Charlie Kirk, who is a Christian nationalist. He's an avowed Christian nationalist. TPUSA has had wildly racist and white supremacists associated with them, including inviting people like Nick Fuentes to speak. No matter what you think of his thoughts on BlackRock, here is him asking you about left media. And I got to say, Cenk, this one sucked real hard for me. And you also, I think, have been using these opportunities to talk a lot about the left to the right.
I think the left has some work to do in developing over-the-top media to be able to bypass the main networks.
Yeah, so we have TYT as a giant network, but we have a lot of great progressive and populist shows that are not part of TYT. That's in the left-wing ecosystem.
I just want to stop and say I'm excited to hear which ones you like, given that you just sort of insulted Emma Vigeland just now. I'm curious which ones you actually do still support that aren't your own, but I'm going to keep going, Cenk. Hang on.
So I don't think that that's the issue. I don't think that there isn't enough shows. I think that there's a couple others. One, on the right, you guys do a great job of coalescing. Okay, so you do a couple of things well. You work together well, and you're more welcoming, if I'm being honest.
We're glad Cenk's here, right, everybody?
And a lot of people on the left know this as well. If you agree with MAGA 5%, the answer you get is welcome, right? Come join us, right? On the left, if you disagree 5%, they go, get out of here, you're a right-winger, you're a fascist, right? But if you push enough people out and you guys welcome enough people in, eventually you win the popular vote. That's what I warned them about, and that's what happened, right?
Okay, so there you are, and
Yeah, love it. Stick with 100% on what I just said there. I'm 100% right about that. So let's discuss.
yeah, let's discuss. You had your say there, and you've been saying various degrees of that same thing. And I gotta say, like, I watched this whole I watched the whole clip, and it started off, and I was like, this is pretty good. This is good. Like, pretty good interview. I like that you're sitting down. It wasn't bad. This moment, like, truly a part of me died when I watched this.
Wow, I can't
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Super. Just like shriveled up and died, floated away into the ocean. Here's what happens. Couple things. He asks you about left-wing media and why there isn't more left-wing media. Which already, as you are there, in the sort of kingdom of turning points, is like, that's such a dig. Like, why are you guys so weak? Is effectively what he's saying. And instead of pointing out the way that TPUSA has been bankrolled by Republican mega donors out of Chicago and many other places for years now, and talking about how the Daily Wire was funded by the fracking brothers, the Wilkes brothers. Now they're fishing for new, investors, whatnot, but that there is so much money on the right. He handed this answer to you on a platter, and all you said was, you know what? You guys are really good at being welcoming. People just like you. Cenk, they've got all the
I didn't
money.
say people
What
just
are
like
you
you. That's very
talking about?
different.
So let's not forget the fact that Kamala Harris's campaign had nearly $1 billion, $2 billion given to her by smaller dollar donations, of course, from the regular working class people, and definitely from the deep state and the billionaire donor class. Um, I'm not a fan of Al Sharpton, but the fact that the Kamala Harris campaign gave him or gave his foundation $500,000, like, come on. The fact that Kamala Harris had to give, I want to say approximately $1 million, $2 million to Oprah Winfrey's production team. The fact, what's the girl's name? Uh, okay, there was a podcast. I'm trying to think. I don't watch it, but Kamala Harris gave $100,000 just for the production, just for the setup for that podcast. I want to say call your who's your dad, call your daddy or something. Um let me just double check um if this loads. But to the point where Kamala Harris, yeah, call her daddy podcast. Um and Kamala Harris literally misappropriated so much money to the point where they had to beg for more money afterwards because the campaign was bankrupt afterwards. So it's not that the left doesn't get money, because it does, but the problem really is the left already gets a lot of free media, whether you talk about CNN, MSNBC, um also the I think what she's really trying to say is that the establishment left, the mainstream media left, or those who are willing to just ignore the flaws of the Democratic Party, yes, they're the ones who receive money. So it's not that the right is the only one that receives money. It's just that in progressive world, they don't receive money, and so, which is kind of a flawed argument, because a lot of the people like Kyle Kalinske, TYT, um, and other left, they have subscribers, they have people who sign to their Substack or to their Patreon. And so, yes, you might not necessarily receive billionaire donor class money, but why would you? If you don't want your own progressive politician, or your own progressive, or your own left leaning politician to receive big campaign donations, why would you want to? So I think she's just incredibly flawed. I think she's just really in her fucking feelings. I've heard a whole bunch of just garbage coming out of her over the past couple of years, but here we go. There's more.
That's effectively what you're good at coalescing. And here's my question to you about so that's just number one on the media, because that just stings because I'm in media. But on the 5%, if you disagree with
Which is really code word for, I don't understand why I only have 100,000 subscribers and y'all have millions of subscribers. Kyle Kalinske has 1.5, maybe even more now. Um, Jimmy Dore has way more than me, i.e., I don't know really where Jimmy Dore and Kim Iverson stand, which they were both on TYT at one point in time. They are kind of being more in the middle. I don't think they've really given up a lot of the progressive populist economic policies, but I think that they are kind of rejecting the culture war. So pretty much what she's saying is, why is it that y'all have all these followers but I don't? And it's because you know you say a lot of anti-masculine shit. You say a lot of anti-constitutional shit. So, you believe in advocating for your own beliefs over somebody else's beliefs, even if they disagree. And I mean, the list can go on, but I just kind of want to focus on this conversation that they're having.
MAGA 5%, they still welcome you. How did that work out for Liz Cheney?
Yeah. So look,
Bitch, Liz fucking Cheney. Liz fucking Cheney. Are you fucking kidding me? Liz fucking Cheney. Y'all are fucking retarded.
uh, is there a part of MAGA that'll push you out? Of course, of course. That's what we know MAGA for in the beginning.
When do they push
But
you out, Cenk? When do they push you out?
Can you let this man finish?
Oh,
largely when you disagree with Trump.
exactly.
So listen,
This
let
is
me
the
address.
thing that it's the unspoken thing that you're never saying, that ultimately it's all hunky dory. Elon can tweet back at you, Vivek can listen to you. But if you defy Donald Trump, the God Emperor, you're kicked out of the castle. And no
Yeah.
one's defending Liz Cheney. Screw both their castle and the other castle. But Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 98% of the time. And just the 1% when she was like, hey, you know what? You can't do a coup on this country. And Adam Kissinger, and they were gone. So miss me with this 5% BS, yo.
So, all right, Franny, a whole bunch of things here. So, number one, you're right. That's definitely how Turning Point started. Daily Wire certainly started that way. I don't know what their current funding is.
I will unequivocally say I support Candace 80 to maybe 90% of the time. But fuck the Daily Wire, fuck Ben Shapiro. I used to like Jordan Peterson, but I still do like Jordan Peterson when he kind of sticks more to the clinical psychology aspect of things and more of the historical informative things. But I mean, fuck a Zionist.
But they seem to have a lot more funding than any of us do. So you're right, and I have said that in the past, and I probably should have put that in there in that particular appearance, and I will mention that, and that'll really grate on their nerves. But I've got no problems telling their audience, and I tell them all the time, no, you guys have way more money, and they're always shocked by that. And I'm like, because they're swimming in money and don't realize how much we're starving out here on the left. Right.
Sure.
So, and I talked on Tim Pool's show about that, etc. Now, when it comes to the 5%, 95%, yeah, I hear you. So it's when you disagree with Trump, especially in the past, especially in the first term, etc., you're a goner, right? But they are pushing back even on Trump now. So again, on things that we don't agree with, but on COVID, for example, they thought that Trump did too much COVID protections, etc. And there was and this is
And honestly, this is where I disagree with the left. Um, you can't make so I on a personal level, I don't agree with abortion, but on a societal libertarian, perspective, I mean, that's between you and Jesus. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Um, but you can't say that fundamentally that women have the power to their own anatomy to make choices between their doctors to do or what not to do once they're pregnant. Um, I don't think it's actually reproductive rights because you're not reproducing. But you can't say that you have these rights that were granted by the Supreme Court in 1972, um, and then come back and say that I my body my choice. Well, the same should be said about if somebody wants to take a vaccine or not. Um, the same should be said even on the right. Like, I live in a Republican state. They don't let you, I live in North Carolina. They don't let you smoke weed. My body, my choice. So that's where I kind of come with the social libertarian aspect. But I just think that the left, this is where I push back on the left. And COVID was very eye opening for me. Before then it was like don't trust the government, and then now it's like trust everything the government says. And we're gonna leave that for a whole topic for a different day.
really encouraging. When I talk about Team Miriam, Marco Rubio, Elise Stefanik, Mike Huckabee, and Mike Walls. So those are the four that put in by the neocons put in by Miriam Adelson. In the old days, what I would have gotten
Fuck Miriam Adelson. Fuck it, like I said, fuck a Zionist on any side, in any party.
Franny is no way. They're the greatest. They're not neocons. You're a liar. Trump picked them. Trump's the best. Now what I'm getting from the right wing hosts, which is amazing, and let alone the base, they're all saying, "Yeah, I hear you. We got concerns about them. We got concerns." Okay, so that's the thing I never heard before. So that is a change. Now, in terms
And if you look at Kamala Harris, um, I mean, I understand that progressive, like the progressive base, not as a whole, but generally did like Tim Walz. But the fact that they excused a lot of the people appointed by Joe Biden, they excused a lot of the city group members that were appointed by Barack Obama, and then they made excuses. But then you want to criticize who Trump's picks are. It's like, with the same criticism that you have for the Republican Party and Trump, you need to have the same criticism for, even if it's just a Democratic establishment overlord like Joe Biden, like, Kamala Harris, like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. Yeah, I may agree with Joe Biden on Lena Khan, but look at these people that you have picked for the Defense Department. Look at the people that you have picked, to dictate our foreign policy. What the hell are we doing spending money everywhere else, but homelessness has just risen 18% last year. Child poverty has reaccelerated because y'all got rid of the child tax credits. So it's just kind of like, hold the same keep the same energy when it's your party, or you may align more with somebody on in the Democratic Party.
of the concept that I'm referring to, the 5%, 95. But Franny, we're in the middle of that right now. This is the perfect example. So I started the largest progressive network. I've given dozens of progressives opportunities they didn't have before. I started Just Democrats, et cetera, et cetera. The minute I disagree like 5% on trans issues or crime, everybody's like, right wing, fascist, right wing, right wing,
That's
right
not
wing. Almost
so,
every show is saying that. Almost every show. So you telling me that you don't push people out? You're pushing out the movement overall. At least the online left movement seems to be trying to push out the one network that has helped progressives more than any other network, and it's not in dispute. But my God, we have 5% disagreement. So tear it down, tear it down. This is the destructive extreme left that I honestly, that portion, that kind of destructive attitude is poison. It's not just poison to us, it's poison to our chances of winning, because we keep pushing people out, we keep pushing people out, and then all of a sudden we lost all the swing states and we lost the popular vote. I'm trying to get our side to wake up, snap out of our hypnosis of we hate, and we hate the right wing, and they're all white supremacists, and they're all racist, and they're all sexist, and we hate, and we never go in the room with them. We hate. What the hell happened to us? And no one's allowed to disagree. We're now authoritarian. No,
wait,
I
Cenk,
rebel.
can I just
rebel.
clarify?
I will never allow the left to be authoritarian, and this idea of just hating the other side is poison.
And so, as somebody that was taught communism in college, I did have a communist professor, and I did a lot more extensive research into it. But when you look at Mao Zedong's Cultural War, it was literally all about programming, um, especially young kids, especially programming the young to eventually accept so much of his cultural revolution that anybody that disagreed with his cultural revolution was then, you know, annexed. And then it got to a point where we turn you into the authorities because you're not, you know, you don't support Mao enough. You don't support what Mao wants to do enough. And that is what a lot of people on the left are doing, um, which is remotely just crazy. Um, when you really think of it, it's it's like they haven't read books, they haven't watched documentaries. And the crazy thing is, yes, I learned a lot from college, and I don't take that away from college. But I've absolutely learned a lot more just doing audiobooks because I'm constantly driving, I'm constantly working, just watching documentaries, just reading books, articles. And the fact is, it's almost like a Hitler regime where people just think that Hitler just showed up one day and was like, boom, we're gonna do all this crazy shit to the least of these in this country, Germany. No, he was paid by the oligarchs in the 30s for positive propaganda for the Nazi regime. And then he started a cultural war amongst the people. And of course, it was more of, the German Christians and stuff like that, that he really pushed into. But it's kind of like the same thing with the left here in America. But, and then he went out and started doing these heinous crimes, these this genocide and all this other, you know, just authoritarian BS, because he had given it time to influence the people. So it's the same thing with the left. I mean, you can watch it happen. It's clear as day. And that's even anybody on the right. If you can just willy nilly accept propaganda, you can really willy nilly just excuse, you know, anti liberty, anti democracy, anti, anti constitution, anti, anything that's pro authoritarian or pro fascist. If on the left or the right, if you could just willy nilly accept it without questioning it, then you may be getting pimped. It's just a fact.
What's so
Yes.
funny about you calling the left authoritarian is that you think the left has power. Like, I love
No,
that you
no,
think
totally.
But they did. I mean, before, okay, I think that Elon Musk is literally doing the same stuff by him banning, not really banning, but him, shadow banning and attacking Laura Loomer for literally speaking against him this week, the H-1B visas. It's the same thing that the Twitter files had exposed, that there was deep state actors either still plugged into the deep state or still work for the deep state, and they were um they were infiltrating Google, Facebook, Twitter. They were all these social media things. And even if you look now, I mean, you can't post anything on TikTok. And so to sit here and say that the left isn't authoritarian is crazy. I mean, you could just see it from the Wu flu. You could just see it from the beer flu and everything that just kind of took place. And this bitch is oblivious.
Nonsense,
we are
Randy.
we are on the precipice of real authoritarianism and real fascism, and you believe that the online left are the authoritarians? I mean, I don't know how to tell you. You sound like
That's
Bill
such an
Maher and
excuse,
Nancy
Randy.
Pelosi had a kid and it came out Cenk Uygar. And let me just ask you though.
Nonsense.
Let me just ask you. So what shows on the left?
Like, if you just look at the manipulative thing that she just did, you can see it in her body language. You can see that that small smirk that she just had. Jank is not really keeping his composure. I mean, honestly, I see why he had the conversation, but Jank can get triggered. And I mean, any of us can really get triggered. But if you look at the smirk and you just see what she just did, she was in her feelings for the past 8-9 minutes of this video. You could see it. And then she transferred her feelings onto Jank just to upset him. That's why she had that fucking smirk. And I just think that is just disingenuous. It's, it's some fucking hoe shit.
Do you like that aren't on the
Do
TYT
you
network?
like?
Yeah, so I said, look, there's a
Ooh,
lot of good popular shows on the left that I like, and it's because there are. So, Breaking Point's a good show. Kyle Kalinski's Secular Talk is a good show. He was against me going on.
bruh. Okay. I really do like Sagar and Jetty from Breaking Points. Um, I don't really agree with him on race, especially when you're talking about, African American history and stuff like that. But everything else, Sagar and Jetty, he's populist right. He makes a lot of valid arguments. He's very knowledgeable, well read. He's going to introduce you to some books, to some ideology that you probably haven't heard of. So I really suggest you listen to Breaking Points. Kyle, I've listened to Kyle for a very long time. I think Kyle, I was probably introduced to Kyle shortly after I was introduced to TYT. Very knowledgeable, a little too pro Democratic Party for my liking, little too anti-right for me. But neither here or there. But really, what she's pissed off about, I was really trying to stop and pause. What she's really pissed off about is he's not saying her show. You're not going to talk about my show. You don't like my show.
On MAGA, I haven't seen his video, but Kai's been against us a couple of times. But I largely didn't hold a grudge on that
But
because it's
even
not
wait,
personal.
let me just stop you. Let me just stop you. First of all, you had a great conversation with Crystal Ball. I think she made some really good points to you on. I think it was on Breaking Points. Kyle has I think been very disturbed, especially by your appearance with Charlie Kirk. But what you just said there, they've been against us. I really want to just dig into this idea that because you're a fighter, man. That's cool. That's great. But, like, you really do have a very I almost wanna call it Bush-like, Cheney-like, you're with us or against us attitude.
100% wrong.
But
100%
like, you
wrong.
just literally I love that you're
Yes.
proving my point, but
No,
when
I'm not.
I
You're
say
proving
this
my
because
point.
you
Okay, so
truly
let me explain.
you sound like people are either against you, but if they
No,
criticize you, they are not, and yet, here you are, Cenk.
Bro, she's so manipulative, dog. This shit right here, bro. If you ever had a girlfriend or a mom, you know exactly what she's doing. If you don't know what she's doing, bruh. Um, but yeah, this is pure, like, just full blown manipulation. Trying to get, yeah, bruh.
Telling the entire right wing that all you want to do
Telling
is
the right
break
one.
bread with them, that you want to debate with them, but afterward you want to go have a beer with
yes, I do.
you want to have a
All you
beer with
want to do is
people
hate them. How does
who
that
want
work
to
out for us, Franny?
who
How
want
does the
to
hate
put
work
people
out
in
for us?
mass deportation camps. They want to deport.
You
They're starting
think
with
we're going to get put in camps? You sound all right. Anyway,
you think I sound crazy? They're starting
So this is where a lot of people get the misconception. So when you look at somebody like Fred Hampton, he definitely was part of the Black Panther Party, which was a black socialist movement. Did a lot of great things. The reason why we do have, free school lunches, and I mean, the Black Panther Party has its plus and negatives, but let's just stick with Fred Hampton. Um, he went and talked to the Young Patriots, which was, white right wing group. They did have many racists in there, but the thing is sometimes you have to build those bridges with people. And of course, over time, you could be like, hey, racism is bad, bro. Um, but you have to make that connection. You have to build up some kind of rapport with somebody, and then you have a little bit of an authority. I'm not gonna say authority, but you have a little bit of leeway in their life to kind of point out their flaws. You know, it's the same thing with I wanted to look it up before, so I did, but if you look up Ron Stallworth, anybody who's ever seen of course it was a movie done by Spike Lee and Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, and Adam Driver, and some other people. But he portrayed himself as Ron Stallworth, which was he was an officer and he infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan. And when you look at what kind of happened after that, he befriended a lot of those people in the Ku Klux Klan, and then they gave up the Klan. And so to sit here and be like, you can't have a beer, to sit here and be like, you can't have some kind of rapport with somebody is just crazy. Sometimes I think the left's biggest problem, and this is what I've noticed because I grew up in the South, I grew up blue collar, I grew up around white folks, and I think what happens is a lot of college educated people they get this knowledge, and then they leave school or they leave with this knowledge, and they just puffed up like, oh, I know everything and everybody else is beneath me, and how dare you not know what I know. And I think that's a problem with the left. Congratulations, you learned about COINTELPRO. Congratulations, you learned the truth about, you know, Jim Crow, the new Jim Crow. All that stuff is great. It's great that you've learned this knowledge. But to just automatically put yourself in a hierarchy and assume that somebody else knows this, if if the basic public school, grade school education failed the large majority of America, what makes you think that it does, like, that you're just better because you read a book? I mean, some people actually have real lives where they have to work 2, 3 jobs. They have to work, you know, 50, 60, 70 hours in a week. They have kids, they have other stuff. And by the time they get done with everything, they either just want to go to sleep, they just want to relax, they just want to watch a movie or a TV show that's getting them away, whether it's like Breaking Bad or, you know what I'm saying, Game of Thrones or whatever. And here she is, literally, in a way, you know, thinking that she's better than somebody because, you know, she's fucking woke. And I mean, you can't build bridges in the first instance you want to do is burn them. I'm sorry. I mean, of course, some bridges must be burnt, but at least cross the fucking bridge first. You know, see if the bridge is stable. See if the bridge can carry the weight. And if the bridge can carry the weight, then yeah, keep the bridge. And if the bridge is lousy, if the, you know what I'm saying, then burn it down. But the fact is, you don't even want to build bridges is crazy. Is this is exactly what Cenk is saying, and I totally agree with Cenk. And you know what? Fuck what she talking about.
With Chinese people. That's my fucking family, dog. Like, what are you
Fanny,
talking about?
that's such an excuse. Okay,
What is
no, they're going to
what
start
is
with
an
Muslims.
excuse?
They're going to
What
start
is
with my people. Okay,
Sure,
if they
sure,
start at
sure.
all.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
to stop hiding behind vulnerable communities.
I'm hiding behind vulnerable
Yes, you
communities.
are. You're using
I'm
them as human
standing in
shields.
front of vulnerable communities,
No,
Cenk.
you're
What are
not.
you doing?
So, and the question you really have to ask her: Barack Obama was labeled the deporter in chief. Even if you compare Barack Obama's 8 years, and even if you break it down and you compare it to Trump's first year, Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump ever could have. Millions. And to sit here and excuse Barack Obama, okay, like, my thoughts on immigration, I'm going to do a video about it in the future. And you're kind of getting a taste with the other videos that I'm posting, but let's just hypothetically say you were to argue from her position. Why are you not criticizing Barack Obama? So what, you magically just think that now that Joe Biden is president, that these deportation camps have just miraculously disappeared because Joe Biden? No, it is not. It is not advantageous for CNN, MSNBC to sit here and air this. It's crazy that AOC goes to the border during Trump, but she doesn't go to the border during Joe Biden.
What are
No,
you doing?
I'm in front of vulnerable communities.
Uh-huh.
I'm the
Uh-huh.
most endangered,
By
Franny.
tweeting at Elon Musk?
No,
Please don't
whatever.
no help me. Come
Okay,
on,
so
My
this
Cenk.
is
point.
This
My
is
total
so
point.
BS.
sad. That's so
Okay, so let's
sad.
make
Well,
it,
let's take it
Franny,
down.
let's
Let's
get
simmer
back
down. No,
under
no, 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 no.
control.
Simmer
Wait, whoa,
down.
whoa, whoa. You get him riled up and you're like, simmer down. Simmer down. Simmer down. Fucking manipulative little bitch, bro.
Simmer down. Simmer down. I'm asking. Let me just ask you. Let me just ask you real honest to God.
You already sent
No, no, no.
12 things
No.
that I need to
Honest to
respond to.
God.
Can I
No,
respond
no,
to
no.
them?
No, I want to ask you this one
No, of
question.
course not.
Cook her, Jake, bro. Cook her, bro. Fuck her. Cook her. Put some grease on that thing, bro. Goddamn, put some grease in the pan, bro. Goddamn, get the oil frying.
Let's talk about you going on these shows. Just simmer down. Let me ask you one question.
I'm so mad that I'm not invited on these right wing shows. I'm just nobody who supports me. I just
Imagine if Kamala Harris had won. Okay, she wins. She wins the popular vote. She wins obviously the electoral college, incredible, first female president, blah, 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 all this stuff. And Tucker Carlson started making all these rounds on like really like progressive leftist shows, went on Kyle's show, went on my show. I'm like, who the hell? Started reaching out.
Tucker would be blessing her to go on her show. Whether or not you agree with Tucker Carlson or not, he literally had the highest ranking news premiere when he was with Fox News. And to sit here and act like Tucker Carlson doesn't have pull right now and would not be blessing her show if he went on, she's just big mad, bro.
And wanting to talk and wanting to come to agreement on things. What would that look like to you?
Yeah, it would look like Tucker was trying to reach out. Tucker's a bad example because I would be surprised if he did that. But okay, yeah, no problem.
What would it look like to you?
Care. I wouldn't. What I don't. And do I think that Tucker would be selling out? No, there's no chance.
No. Well, I'm not. It's not even. It's not about selling out.
You're mad at him because you think Cenk is selling out. This, as an Asian, I don't know about her, bro.
What would that like? What would it just seem like? Hey, man, we can agree. Yeah, you know what? I did say that Kamala Harris was a DEI hire and she's basically a communist, but now I just feel like I've antagonized you and I'm here to like break bread and let's talk and let's get stuff done. What would that look like to you?
It would look surprising, but I wouldn't care. I'd find it interesting. Why? What does it look like to you?
I mean, to me, if Tucker Carlson did that, I'd be like, oh, we fucking won. We won like crazy. We won so resoundingly. He's doing an apology tour because 3 ghosts visited him in the middle of the night and he's completely changed his tune because he wants to throw down with the winners. We are crushing it. And I saw in that moment, you want me to play it for you? When Charlie Kirk goes, "We're glad Cenk's here, everybody." And that was the feeling that I think a lot of right-wingers have when they look at you, Cenk, where they're like, damn, yo, we crushed so hard. Even this guy is turning now.
Yeah, except I'm not turning. I've said it 2,000 times.
I'm just saying what it would look like. I'm just saying what it would look.
Keep saying it like it's true when it isn't remotely true. But okay, let me address it. So, okay, number one, you're empirically wrong because guess what's happening? Matt Gaetz has reached out to us, Tucker Carlson, to come on our shows. And so it's your exact analogy, okay? Patrick Bet-David, et cetera, and they won.
Look, bro, she hurt. Matt Gaetz and Tucker Carlson want to come on your show? Come on my show.
They're still trying to come on the Young Turks. Why? Because they're trying to have a conversation, not because they want to do an apology tour. They think they are ascendant, but nevertheless, they want to talk to the left.
But you had to make it's because they think that
your version of the left says, no way, we never talk to the other side. But we're not authoritarian.
Cenk, that's not true.
You're not allowed to disagree 1%, but we're not authoritarian. We have no power, so we're not authoritarian. So that's not how it works, Franny. And the establishment Democrats are also authoritarian. So what do they say? You must agree with Kamala Harris, otherwise that's it. You're a heretic and you're being driven out from the party. You know that. The establishment Democrats have done that.
Fucking sexist, misogynist. Not gonna vote for this woman.
To us for the last 20 years. Don't tell me that there's no power on the left. There's tons of power on the left. And when the swarm comes, the left-wing swarm, you'd like to be called a woman. You're racist, fascist, transphobe. What? I'm not authoritarian. No, that is an authoritarian mindset. Just you don't have to have power to have an authoritarian mindset. And there's different versions of power. There's the shunning power. There's social media power. There's mainstream media power. There's political power. There's all sorts of different power. So look, guys, the left. First of all,
there's also just money and actual power.
It gets back to the we. So you ask me politically, who do I represent? I represent the great majority of left-wing voters. The great majority of left-wing voters are not pro-establishment. They get tricked by mainstream media into voting in that direction. It drives me absolutely nuts. But when you ask them about policies, they agree with us completely on policies, right? And the great majority of left-wing voters are not far left. They think a woman should be called a woman. And I'm not saying that in some dismissive way. I'm in favor of trans rights. If you want to be called a birthing person, we love it. We got no problem with it. You be called a birthing person. But when you say no, we call everyone a birthing person. America hates it. Left-wing voters hate it. When you pretend there's no crime, left-wing voters hate it. So I'm standing up for the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters and left-wing voters.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
You may hear what he's saying, but it's not computing. It's not like really registering. That's like I said, if you've ever really dealt with, of course, I don't want to hear the all police, but if you ever really dealt with enough women, you're just like, they hear it, but it doesn't pass through. And so Cenk is completely right. Um, like, hey, you want to be trans? Cool. But if you want to sit here and be a biological born male and play in a woman's sport, and especially like a fighting sport or something like that, or a contact sport, that's crazy. Um, I'm even in favor for having gender neutral bathrooms, singular bathrooms. Um, I understand, like, you just can't sell that to the South. You can't just sell that to the majority of America, the Midwest, places like Ohio, Pennsylvania. I've been to these places. Like, I'm driving there all the time. I'm in these towns. I'm talking to these people, and you can't make somebody agree with you when they don't. And then instead of like agreeing where you do agree with this, like, hey, maybe we need to have more sick days. Maybe we need to have maybe a public option when it comes to healthcare. Maybe, we need to make sure that, Social Security is expanded to make sure that people who are receiving Social Security check, you know, receive a living wage or and they're able to pay for the cost of living, whether it's food and housing and clothing and cars and stuff. Or maybe, we need to, issue a child tax credit to make sure that we're helping, parents. Or maybe, you know, um, we need to provide more billions of dollars, not necessarily to the actual school system in itself, like making sure we're having higher quality books, making sure we're having, technological advances, we're having STEM programs, we're having, we're even bringing back a lot of the blue collar programs, whether you're talking about, shop, carpentry, masonry. A lot of these things have left, and we're not just push. There's a lot of things that we can be doing, but instead you have people like this who, she might not have this quote unquote power, but she's very much authoritarian mindset, which is, if you don't agree with me, fuck you. And I mean, that's just it's diabolical, bro.
Sides of the left saying you're not allowed to disagree with the establishment. You're not allowed to disagree with the extreme left. No, I am allowed. I am allowed. And,
hang on,
and by
hang on,
the way,
hang on,
I allow
hang on,
it
hang on,
all
hang on.
over
Wait,
my
wait, wait,
network.
wait, please, 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 please. I don't want to lose the forest for the trees here, truly. And I hear what you're saying. I know it can feel online like a circular firing squad. I understand.
Billion%.
Hang
It
on.
happens every time.
I know it does. So I come from movement backgrounds, right? I've been in many spaces since the global justice movement in the early 2000s, then the anti-Iraq war movement. I've been in a lot of organizing spaces. I have been in more organizing spaces, far left spaces, than I have in campaigns, political campaigns, for example. So I know those spaces very well. I know we can often.
But if you're always in these right wing spaces or always in these left wing spaces, it becomes an echo chamber. So when you start to hearing conflicting ideas or, true debates, you don't know how to act. Like, if I was to literally go to a Southern church as a Christian, as a Holy Spirit filled Christian, if I was to really go to a Southern church and tell them, hey, the nation of Israel is a nation, not the tribe of Israel from the Bible and that Zionism is bad, a lot of them will just fucking heads explode. And it's the same thing with the left. And so yeah, I was in the okay, I do respect the anti-Iraq war movement, but I was in the left movement, and this left movement, this left movement, and then I think in a different, this is a clip of a video, but even in another video, she talked about how she moved to LA. I mean, bro, no, come down here to the South, to the Midwest, and then come talk to people who are literally in these rural areas where they have seen manufacturing go overseas, where they have seen jobs being stolen, where they have seen companies like Walmart and Amazon close these mom and pop stores, where they have seen the the billionaire bloodbath and disaster that has been left, and actually go talk to those people, but you won't. Well, she won't. And people who think like her wouldn't.
Often over police one another. I know we can tear each other's throats out. I absolutely concede that. I do agree with that. At this moment, sad to say, that's not the biggest fish we have to fry. In fact, we're in, again, a moment just before Project 2025 will be implemented, and people like myself, people who are on the streets demonstrating for Palestine, will be recommended for deportation, among many other things. But of course, I guess maybe I'm using that as a shield. I don't know, according to you. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already,
Trash. I mean, the only statement that she made that I do agree with is the Palestine statement right there at the end. Outside of that, trash, more trash, extra trash, basura away. Get her the fuck up out of here, though. Of course, she should continue to, support Palestine. I do know the comments that the AG, what uh, Biondi has made. Not Biondi. Who's the lady nominated for AG? Trump's Cam Biondi. I had a teacher named Kim Biondi, and I was just like, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, um, that was very disturbing, of course. But the reality is, let's not act like Joe Biden didn't do the same exact stuff. Let's not act like Kamala Harris when they did the same exact stuff. Maybe not on the Palestine issue, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of First Amendment works that was done by the left, and yeah. So I give her credit on that. The rest of that shit, I mean, get kicked to the curb.